Oh,
Alrighty.
okay.
Okay, calling to order this meeting of the Jersey City Historic Preservation Commission. The date is February 9th, 2016, and the time is 6:30.
Please be advised that in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice of the time, date, and place of this regularly scheduled meeting of the Jersey City Historic Preservation Commission. Notice of the time, date, and place of this regularly scheduled meeting of the Jersey City Historic Preservation Commission has been sent to the Bergen Record and El Especialito on Friday, February 6th. Same notice has been provided to the city clerk for posting on the bulletin board outside of the clerk's office in City Hall and on the city website. I have proof of this notice here in evidence, if we could mark it as B1. Okay, we'll move to a roll call attendance.
Commissioner Sandkamp,
Here.
Commissioner Gunther,
Here.
Commissioner Sakong,
Here.
Commissioner Blazak,
Here.
Commissioner Gordon,
Present.
Commissioner Kay,
Here.
Commissioner Kalbach,
Yeah.
Commissioner Garriga, or Vice Chair Garriga,
Here.
and then Commissioner Gucciardo and Commissioner Edgecombe are both absent, and then Chair Cronin.
Present.
There are 9 commissioners present this evening. 5 affirmative votes are required for a certificate of appropriateness. And then next up on the agenda, we have the approval of the minutes from the January 12th, 2026 regular HPC meeting. Are there any questions or corrections to the minutes? Staff hears no questions nor corrections and recommends a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Motion.
Second.
Sandkamp.
Tony, and then Gordon.
Okay, and I'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Gunther,
Aye.
Commissioner Sakong,
Aye.
Commissioner Blazak,
Abstain.
Commissioner Gordon,
Aye.
Commissioner Kay,
Aye.
Commissioner Kalbach, Commissioner Sandkamp,
Aye.
Vice Chair Griga,
Abstain.
and Chair Cronin.
Aye.
There are 7 in favor, no against, and 2 abstentions. The minutes from the January 12th, 2026 HPC meeting are approved. For correspondence, all copies of correspondence and all application materials are linked on the agenda through their application numbers. And then for announcements, staff has 3 announcements at this time. Case H-24-0251, 515 Jersey Ave, Suite 1, has requested to carry to a date uncertain. And at the request of the applicant, demolition review B-25-0166, 300 Central Ave, has carried to a date uncertain. And lastly, demolition review application B-25-1851, that's 507 Summit Ave, has withdrawn their application. Okay. If there are any members of the public who would like to speak regarding matters of historic preservation that are not listed on tonight's agenda, please approach the public comment mic. Again, this is for matters that are not on tonight's agenda. Staff sees no members of the public present and recommends a motion to open and close public comment.
Motion. Sandkamp.
Second. Blazak.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And Dan, if you would like to call the first case.
Okay, we've calling our first case. It's under new business, H-25-0484. The applicant is Jeff Jordan, RA, on behalf of Zane Khusro, owner. It's 319 Varick Street, Unit Number 2, in the Van Wurst Park Historic District. They're going for a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a roof deck and a bulkhead not visible from the PROW at an altered contributing Italianate row house construction circa 1870 in the Van Wurst Park Historic District.
Did you raise your right hand and swear? You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And if you could just state and spell your full name for the record.
Sure. My name is Jeff Jordan, Jeff, Jordan.
Jeff, could you just tap where it says push on the mic? Is a green light on?
Green light's on.
Great. Staff notes for the record that Mr. Jordan has previously been qualified as an expert in the field of architecture in front of this board.
Am I supposed to be seeing, you guys see?
I will, it should go up now. There we go.
All right. Thank you, Commissioners. Again, Jeff Jordan, architect representing the owners of 319 Varick Street in downtown Jersey City. The property is located between Montgomery and Mercer Streets in the Van Voorst Park neighborhood. The building consists of 2 units over 4 floors. We're referring to them as a basement plus 3 floors above. I'm going to just quickly take you through it. I hope this is a fairly straightforward application. The work consists of sort of 2 different efforts. One is interior work, some interior alterations, which are pretty minor in nature. They involve some changes to the finishes, kitchen layout, some minor tweaks to the interior layout, but no change in terms of the number of bedrooms or bathrooms.
Sorry, Jeff, one moment. Just staff notes that Commissioner Gucciardo arrived. It is 6:36 p.m. Thank you. You can continue.
All right, continuing. Some minor changes to the top floor in terms of closets, adding a washer and dryer. But the reason we're here tonight is because the proposed addition to the rooftop, the idea is to extend the existing stair up to the rooftop via bulkhead to create a rooftop deck. As noted in the introduction, the rooftop deck will not be visible to the public from the right-of-way. Additionally, there's no changes to the front facade, which you can see here. And to the rear facade, no changes to the existing building, aside from the new roof deck on top of the building. I'm just going to go through a couple of drawings here quickly, showing this is a section or an elevation showing the proposed elevation of the bulkhead and stair. You'll note that the bulkhead has a door, of course, and a few windows, which will bring light down into the space below. Otherwise, the idea here with the bulkhead, the stair is that, or deck is that it'll be a Ipe wooden deck with black metal guardrail, cable rail. The bulkhead itself would be clad in stucco, and the windows would be black framed. I do have some samples here that I can pass around. I'm going to go back to the section cut through the building, just illustrating the fact that this is not visible from the public way. This is across the street, and you can see here that the bulkhead is actually well below the sight line there. And then a couple other things I want to note just in terms of the size of the deck and what's happening on it. So the deck is 22 feet 9 inches long from front to back. As proposed, it's aligning with the front of the bulkhead on the Varick side. It's the essentially the full width of the unit, which is 19 feet effectively over the party walls there. Sorry, that's the total width, including the bulkhead. The deck itself is 14 feet 8 inches. So on the deck, we're proposing a series of movable planters, as well as a storage bench, which would be built out of the same Ipe. The owners have indicated interest at some point in putting some outdoor furniture out there, potentially a grill, but nothing's been sort of picked out yet. That would be furniture that they would decide on later. But if I go back to that section cut, you'll note that there's no visibility to that deck. So nothing that's on that deck, assuming it stays below the guardrail height, would be visible. And I'm going to leave it at that and answer any questions you may have.
Do any commissioners have any questions for Jeff?
So just, excuse me, there's no visibility from Varick Street, but is there any from Monmouth Street? Because I think you can see through that parking lot.
Yeah, we
maybe
looked,
just-
I'm not sure if staff looked, but you can kind of see the back of the building, but you can't really get a sight line to the roof deck, or sorry, to where the roof deck would be. Yeah, it's a kind of a weird angle. I'll go to the block plan just to make
So
that
those
clear to
ones that
everyone.
might be a little bit to further south, those might be the ones that like lots 8 and 9 might be visible, but 7.
Exactly. You can
isn't.
see here, yeah, lots 2, 3, and 4 sort of obscuring the sight line from that parking area. I suppose if you're in the parking lot, you'd be able to see it, but from the public way, the sidewalks, you would not.
Are there any additional?
And I just wanted for the record too, because I think, we're obviously always more worried about over the front facade. I think even if it were visible from, like, I did doubt even Mercer Street or like kind of in that between lots 21 and 1 on Monmouth Street, even if it were visible, I think that's in line with what we've approved in the past. So I'd be comfortable with that. I just wanted to make sure I understood when you're saying it's not visible if you're just talking about the front or any views too.
Yeah, thanks
So
for
thanks,
clarifying.
Jeff.
Any other questions? Okay. Anything to close testimony, Jeff?
Nope, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Great. We'll move into public comment. If there are any members of the public present who would like to speak regarding this application, please approach the public comment mic. Staff sees no members of the public present and recommends a motion to open and close public comment.
Motion, Sandcamp.
Second, Corey.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll move into staff comments. As indicated in the staff report, this is a very straightforward roof deck. It is something we see very often here, follows the general pattern of development at this point. I did go out to Monmouth Street to determine visibility. I could not find an angle where I even saw more than a corner of the back of the building. So in staff's opinion, this is not going to be visible, but I do agree, Brian, that even if it was, it would be in line for us to approve it, if especially the visibility would just be a railing at the back. The staff report does have recommended conditions. They are standard roof deck conditions, and I'm happy to answer any additional questions. Seeing none, staff recommends a motion to approve the COA with conditions in the staff report.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, Jeff, do you and your client accept the conditions in the staff report?
Yes, I reviewed it with them. They do accept those, as do I. Thank you.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Sandcamp,
Aye.
Commissioner Gunther,
Aye.
Commissioner Sakong,
Aye.
Commissioner Blazak,
Aye.
Commissioner Gordon,
Aye.
Commissioner Gucciardo,
Aye.
Commissioner Kay,
Aye.
Vice Chair Garriga,
Aye.
and Chair Cronin.
Aye.
There are 9 in favor, no against, no abstentions. The certificate of appropriateness with conditions is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, they're over here.
There's 10 of us, though.
Are
Yes, so because there's 10 of us, Natalie is a member of the commission, but she's not a voting member.
Good to know. Sorry, I have a habit of saying things that people are thinking.
That's why I always count. I want to make sure I'm getting the number right.
And I don't want someone to stop you at some point.
I-
Wait a second. I'm protesting this. That poor man, we have to come back here.
We're all good. All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Right along.
We're going to move back up.
That's right. Back
Into
to the
old
future. Here we
business.
go. Old business. Our next case is H-25-0009. Robert Verdabello, Esquire, applicant on behalf of JCH Development. The address is 598 Jersey Avenue in the Harsimus Cove Historic District. They are here for a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed subdivision of the lot and adaptive reuse of the former North Baptist Church, an altered key contributing resource in the Harsimus Cove Historic District, dedicated in 1887, partially destroyed by fire in 1978, and partially rehabilitated for worship in 1983. The proposed residential project includes, but is not limited to, the integration of the character-defining features of the building with new construction to convert the site into a 14-unit residential building incorporating the extant west facade tower and partial south facade. Floor is yours.
Alrighty, good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. For the record, Veronica Schmiel from the law firm Connell Foley on behalf of the applicant, JCH Development. As you all are probably recall, this is a continuation of our meeting from December 15th to tonight's meeting. So same as last time, I will keep my opening comments brief before turning it over to our architect, Mr. Pereiras. I just wanted to provide a quick recap just to put everything fresh in everyone's mind. As the chairman said, this is an application for a certificate of appropriateness for the adaptive reuse of that North Baptist Church. As we testified to on the record at the prior meeting, applicant and his team have been working with the historic staff on this application. We're over a year now since we submitted. We've involved meetings and site visits, so on and so forth, meetings with the neighbors, glass samples flown in from Portugal, really trying to make sure that we continue to take all your comments into consideration for this proposed residential use. Again, I'll allow Mr. Pereiras to provide his testimony, but as a quick overview, we really incorporated some of the salient points that we heard from you guys at the end of the meeting, some of the back and forth that we had. So we really do think that we've dotted our I's and crossed our T's and are really excited to present what we have this evening. Obviously, Mr. Reardon is not present this evening. Before the last meeting in December, we did receive his staff report, which recommended approval with appropriate conditions. From my position as counsel for JCH, I think it's still appropriate for us to proceed tonight. Obviously, we would love Mr. Reardon to be here and to continue to present his comments, but from a legal standpoint, I believe it's appropriate for this board to continue. So with that, I would like to say, though, I just want to reemphasize for this commission's consideration, the level of effort that we really have tried to put into this project, trying to keep the community appraised of the status, fielding input from the Harsmas Cove group, really trying to make sure that we're squared away with Mr. Reardon's comments here. This is the first step for us, though. We obviously still have a whole process to make it through before the zoning board, assuming obviously we obtain approval from this commission. So we would obviously continue to coordinate with Mr. Reardon on any other design standards that he wants incorporated. We also, as we know, Mayor Solomon was supportive of this project when he was a council person, but will obviously absolutely meet with his mayoral administration to make sure that he and new councilperson Little's concerns, if any, are incorporated into this project, as well as additional community meetings as needed with Harsmas Cove. So again, even if, not to put the cart before the horse, if we do get approval from this commission, we still do have to go before the zoning board and we'll have to iron out additional details with them. But I do think that Mr. Pereiras will show you he really heard your concerns, incorporated them into the plans, and we're excited to show you what we have this evening. All right.
Staff will also note that Chair Cronin was not present for the December 15th, 2025 regular HBC meeting that this application was carried from. And can you just confirm on the record that you reviewed the transcript and or the recording that was provided?
Yes, I did.
And Veronica, are you comfortable with him voting if it comes to that?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Would you raise your right hand and be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Manny Pereiras.
Please state and spell your full name for the record.
Thank you. Manny Pereiras, P-E-R-E-I-R-A-S, with Pereiras Architects Ubiquitous, architect for the applicant.
Staff notes that Mr. Pereiras has previously been qualified in front of this board as an expert in the field of architecture. Please continue.
Thank you so much. I'd like to begin by thanking you. I really appreciate the dialogue we had previously, and we really took it to heart, and we've been able to spend this month, almost a month that we had between meetings, to refine our design, refine materiality, and really work out a lot of the details. Now, this is a massive building. There's a lot more that I even want to do, but I think we're at a good point where I'm very comfortable presenting it to the board. As such, I don't want to break down and give you the history again, but I can if we need to. I'd like to pick up where we were before and put a few things into the record. What remains of this site is primarily the Jersey Avenue facade, with only a small portion of the 4th Street facade still present. Our proposal is an adaptive reuse that stabilizes and restores what remains, and then reconstructs the lost massing in a way that is compatible with the original church's scale and vocabulary, while also being clearly of its time. Our preservation approach is guided directly by the Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation. We are prioritizing and retaining historic masonry details, documenting and revealing original openings and profiles, removing intrusive modern elements, and repairing historic materials using the gentlest of effective methods. The drawings include a restoration and salvage mindset throughout. Existing face brick is to be removed by hand, cleaned, cataloged, stored, and reused where reconstruction is required. We are restoring masonry details, sandstone trims, terracotta, and ornamental elements throughout carefully, cleaning, repointing, and repair with replacement components matching the original design, measurement, color, texture, and finish. Along Jersey Ave, the intent is restoration, clean and point. And then along 4th Street, the intent is a contemporary interpretation that respects the original bulk and cadence, but uses contemporary materials, including significant glazing, so that the new work is compatible but differentiated, which is consistent with the standards. And finally, we treat the site elements with the same respect as the building fabric. Bluestone is to be numbered, photographed, documented, and stored for reinstallation. And the existing wrought iron fence is to be removed, secured, preserved, and then reinstalled. This is a preservation project first. It saves what is left, restores the public face of the historic church on Jersey Avenue, and returns the site to a productive use by means of the adaptive reuse of the new apartments in a way that supports long-term stewardship. The Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation do not require that new work look old. In fact, for a site like this, where much of the historic building is gone and what survives is a fragile remnant, the standards strongly support a contemporary 4th Street elevation. As long as it is, number 1, compatible in massing, scale, and rhythm. 2, clearly differentiated from historic fabric. And 3, respectful of what remains and does not destroy historic material. I'd like to walk you through a little bit of the very intentional choices that we made on the 4th Street facade. We have created a very almost blunt differentiation between what is new and what is old by introducing a line that literally separates the two. That line is a symbolic gesture of what that differentiation is. It is created by an ACM panel. It's 2 inches thick. It protrudes just 2 inches beyond the furthest face of any building element. And it is a blunt kind of reference of this is the separation between new and old. That is again reintroduced where we're breaking into the existing facade with a new entry point. So we have the same line, same concept along that entry point along the bottom. As we spoke earlier, our concept and our bulk of the building is still being referenced from the original facade and from the original photographs of 4th Street. And we're taking those same elements and following the lines of the buttresses that are existing there and taking the same angle, the same portion. But now our contemporary resolve is with different materiality. We're using an ACM panel for that trim work. However, it matches in color and in bulk and in scale what was there in the previous facade as well. The infill becomes a glass infill, contemporary storefront within creating a lightness to the structure. So what we're proposing, what is new, has a different lightness to it. And then there are a lot of poetics within this. For example, and just to mention one, the cornice on the top of the historic construction was a cast stone placed on top with also bent metal, we are using the same kind of decorative element, but it becomes a decorative element. We leave a space between the top of the cornice to the next element to show this is no longer being used as a form of keeping water out. This is a very intentional design element to show how we're making this, and our facade, our envelope is being wrapped underneath with modern building materials so that we see that differentiation. There are also very intentional elements done within our facade. For example, it is not our place to define where the difference is between historic and the proposed building. That is a pre-existing spot. So for example, this spot right here, that is a very awkward line. That is awkward intentionally because now it shows that on the bottom and left of this, that's the historic facade. And to the right and up is the proposed new contemporary facade. And that awkwardness in the facade, not keeping it perfectly symmetrical, makes your eye go to that and question, what is this? Why is this? How does this work? And it makes you understand really what that differentiation is, and really in a very subtle way exposes the difference between historic and the new building. We also took into account a lot of your comments and wanted to understand how the bulk of this building is visible from the street level. And we created a very accurate model and took shots from every angle so that we could understand what that massing and how that building feels like from different perspectives across the site, across the street, so that we understand how the building reads very much in scale with the rest of the neighborhood, how the upper floors are set back in a way that are not intrusive, that when you're walking on Jersey Ave, the portions to the back are secondary to the Jersey Ave facade. They are stepped back sufficient that it does not take away or hinder from the historic facade. And I'd like to, Commissioners, on the 4th Street facade, just to talk a little bit more about that and compare it to the standards. It is intentionally contemporary because the project is being guided by the Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation. And those standards do not ask us to recreate history where it no longer exists. They ask us to preserve what is authentic, avoid conjecture, and make the new work compatible but legible as new. If we go standard by standard, standard 3 is most central here. Most of the church volume was lost after the fire and decades of deterioration. And a literal replica along 4th Street would risk creating a false sense of historic development. Our approach restores the surviving historic fabric on Jersey Avenue where evidence and material remain, and it treats 4th Street as a new construction that is honest and respectful rather than pretend original. On Standard 9, the Standard 9 then guides us the design of the new facade. It requires that the new work be compatible with the historic building in massing, scale, rhythm, while also being differentiated from historic fabric. Along 4th Street, we match the historic bulk and vertical cadence, and we carry forward recognizable church vocabulary, including a brick expression and a roof character that reads consistent at the streetscape level. At the same time, we intentionally introduce contemporary elements and little tricks, architectural tricks that I presented to you, including substantial glazing and details, so that the addition reads clearly as new work and of its time. Now, Standard 10 is also satisfied by concentrating the program and new construction primarily where the historic building has already been lost, which reduces the pressure on the most significant surviving material and keeps the historic Jersey Ave facade as the authentic public face. Where new masonry interfaces with the historic fabric, we follow a strict matching methodology, including selecting new brick to match size, finish, color, and material based on clean samples from the existing building. But keep it clear, the beauty, this is a preservation product at its core, and the facade on 4th Avenue becomes the star. The on Jersey Ave becomes the star. 4th Avenue is secondary to that. And in short, the contemporary 4th Street facade is not an exception to the standard. It is one of the clearest ways to comply with them. It avoids conjunctural replication, preserves the highlights historic fabric, and creates compatible new architecture that is honest and about its time. And that concludes my testimony today, and I am open for your questions.
I have a question about the detailing of the roof at the top of the tower. I'm looking at a photograph that's in the project file of the existing condition, and sort of like I see that you're showing all the brickwork is being retained. However, in the photos of the current condition, there appears to be a projecting band course at the top. And it looks like it might be intended that the new roof sort of covers that.
So this is what is currently there right now. We have a photograph of that condition. This is a somewhat recent photograph, about a year old. That's what's there now. What was historically there was the steeple. We are keeping that last element, that band here, and then creating a roof that disappears behind it with a low pitch, the minimum pitch that we could comply with code, so that it disappears, and that's what our proposal is.
Okay, I think it might have just been the rendering.
Yeah.
It won't be concealed. The new roof will be fully above that line.
Yes,
Okay.
it's fully above that line.
Sorry. And that new roof is a pyramid still?
Correct. It's still a pyramid. And that's the easiest way that we could keep it out of sight lines from every angle.
So I know you've changed, and this shows it well on the bottom left there. I know you've changed the roof line of that addition portion
We
and
did.
flattened that out from what was previously this sloping roof. Can you maybe just talk about some of the other things that have changed, or if anything else has changed with the massing since we've last seen it in December?
So very little of the massing has changed other than that. I thought that was a great point that was brought up by the board. I thought it was attracting attention by having the slope roof when our intention was for it to fade away. Now I think it really does become a secondary effect. The only other aspect of the massing that has been refined significantly is what happens in this corner over here. And as the roof slopes down, we stepped it. We thought it was important because this roof was visible from the street. So we kept that roof line coming all the way down. And then we cut it out in the back so that we could bring light into the spaces. That's the only difference from the original drawings as far as like the bulk dimensions of it, but there's been a lot of refinement as far as the opening at the entryway is a little bit larger and redefined. We introduced a lot more glass within the portions of that strong gable, but as far as the bulk envelope, it remains the same.
And a question on the elevation. In part of the set, it talks about new stained and leaded glass windows, and I think some of that is pointing to this large glazed area here. So is that accurate? Are some of these going to be, and it's kind of rendered, I don't know if that's supposed to be like shades behind it, or is this going to be clear glazing? Or is there going to be some sort of stained or leaded finish in any of these?
So that was a point of contention with Mr. Reedon and I, and we've talked a lot about this. We've probably had 30 meetings talking about these different aspects, and I think that's left over. Our intention is that on the contemporary facade, there will be no more stained glass, no more diamond plate. The stained glass is going to be limited only to the historic portions and not the contemporary portion.
I think that makes sense. If you're keeping it consistent to historic versus the contemporary, having it be clear glass, I think that makes sense. And then are those spandrel panels at the floor levels then in between the windows as
That
well?
is, so there is two types of glazing in that large format. It's a little hard to tell from the rendering, but I'm going to highlight this area is all spandrel glass as far as in between. The clear glass is on the center with only a 20% reflectivity so that it is going to read somewhat close to one unified piece.
And I'm sorry, what is the difference to the areas the area in the middle and then the areas to the left and right, which are
Yeah,
rendered
so
in a
fundamentally,
whiter,
those are opaque. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
are rendered in more of a white as opposed to like a clear. So just explain the difference.
They
there.
are opaque. You can't see through them, and the center portion is the more clear area.
And is there a reason they're opaque?
Because it's part of the design. It just we had lots of walls that were intersecting there, and we wanted to keep the symmetry of the facade. I thought that was important, so that's why we chose to make them opaque.
Okay, thank you.
I have a couple couple other questions about the Jersey Ave facade. So in this rendering at the corner entrance, there's sort of like this pedimented stonework above the doors, and in the photos of the existing condition, they appear to be a brownstone, and in the rendering, they're a gray. And I just want to know if that's like a rendering issue or if there is an intent to sort of paint or coat the stonework.
No, it's a rendering issue.
Okay. And same with the sort of four recessed brick
Yeah, same
panels?
thing.
Okay, just checking. Thanks.
We had very tight time restraints.
On the 4th Street facade, do you still have the renderings that you presented at the last meeting? Could you put them side by side?
I can. I can't do them side by side, or maybe I can. But this is the original rendering. This is literally the one I was presenting with and sketching on at the last meeting. We basically started the model from scratch based on our latest scans and new drawings. So things are a little bit more precise now. This is the old one. And this is the new one. I think that's a way that they're side by side.
Yeah, I haven't been able to get, oh, thank you. Duh. Okay. There we go. Okay.
A lot of detail has been refined too. If you notice, the thickness of the windows has been increased because our fabricator was unable to match the thinness that we originally had designed. However, it looks like this is more in line with the historic character of the original windows. So that has been refined significantly. Yeah.
I wanted to follow up on the two facades. So I think in your presentation, you said that for the brick portion of the 4th Street facade that you're creating as a modern area, you're matching the brick to what is existing on the rest of the building, right?
Correct.
And tell me why you made that choice. Why you didn't just go completely modern on the infill portions that you were creating?
So we wanted to maintain a continuity of character. So even though we are being contemporary, the materiality, the color, we wanted that consistency. Now, the brick is constructed in a very, very different way. Our brick on the contemporary portion is going to be a brick veneer. It's a full-size brick, but it is built in a contemporary way that allows us to kind of accentuate that, where we have our windows, where we have different building elements. So even though it is the same materiality, it is used and built in a new contemporary manner.
Yeah. I think my concern there is you're trying to be the same, but it's not going to be the same, and it's kind of close. It's almost like I'd rather see it be completely different than be trying to mimic the brick and not being successful at it.
Mr. Reed and I had a lot of discussions, and this is really open for interpretation too, and what you feel. I really wanted it to be brick. I wanted to maintain that materiality. I thought that I kind of put my foot down on that, but we discussed a lot on maybe a different shade of brick. We did a few different renderings with different looks on the shade of the brick. It didn't look as attractive, quite frankly, and that's why I kind of chose this. But yeah, we could. I also thought of maybe having the mortar joining being a slightly different color as well, just to distinguish it a little bit more and keep the same brick and a different mortar joint. But we ultimately decide to match it the same, but I'm open to changing that.
I just trying to understand your rationale and your logic before I comment one way or the other. And my other concern, I think, is the massive area of glass. Initially, when I saw it, I thought this was all letting light into units, but now that you've explained, a lot of it is opaque, and only the center portion would actually be giving light into units, correct?
So the glass that we have selected has some translucency to it throughout. It's opaque, you can't see through it, but it allows light to come through.
Right.
How does it do that? Is it etched? Is it fritted? What's the actual glass that you're proposing?
I don't have the spec on me right here, but it is basically laminated on the interior so that it has a little bit of reflectivity and it allows a little bit of light in. But I could produce the spec and provide it to Mr. Reedon's office.
It begs the question in my mind is if it's opaque and it's not providing light, then maybe the glassed area could take on a different shape. It wouldn't have to be as large as it is, and then possibly reflecting in two different ways, adding more busyness and more distraction on 4th Street. That was my concern.
Understood.
Yeah.
I feel like it's no fun unless there's some debate, so I'm just going to offer some
Please.
counterpoints.
Please.
In my mind, this is a vastly improved design from the last time we saw it. I think there's a clarity of intent between, first of all, not just the modern and the new, but even within the modern, kind of the brick massing with punched windows versus, not quite curtain wall, but let's say window wall assembly. I think there's just a much more refined sense of proportion and material that I really appreciate, and I feel like this is the reason why I love doing this, is because that conversation has produced, in my mind, a much better design. I for one, I think I was actually worried about when you said spandrel. In my mind, spandrel is 100% opaque, and I think starts to look corporate, starts to look cold, and 4th Street is a warm, residential kind of domestic scale life. So I understand, I see the master bedrooms that you have behind those glass walls. I understand the need for having light and air into those bedrooms. I see those partitions missing the mullions. Hurts my teeth too. For whatever it's worth, I would far prefer it to have kind of a consistent glass and use shades, use the partition jogs to meet the mullions, rather than having fritted or I mean, if you're using like a 3M vinyl or something on the inside, I feel like that's even worse. So my 2 cents, I would rather see it consistent. I am a little bit, I'm also kind of nitpicking a little bit on the details here. I also noted the typos on the annotation of the glass. I see that big glass wall, and I think to myself, are any of those lights operable?
On the
big
glass wall, no.
They're all fixed.
Those are all fixed.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't find an attractive way of making them operable.
Okay. I mean, so that was just going to be if there were, then the added thickness that gives to the mullions, I think you would have to draw that in and make sure they're composed thoughtfully. But if they're all fixed, then I guess it's a moot point. I think you need to coordinate some mullion colors. I was hoping to see some material samples. I would love to see the actual color chip that you're proposing for the gray next to the cast stone sample. I see a gray mullion color in the big window wall. I see a white mullion color on the punched over. I think they should probably all be consistent. I think it gets very busy if you start using too many metal colors.
Noted.
And again, my 2 cents. This I think is as you say a little bit more subject to interpretation. I'm perfectly fine with the brick color matching the old. I think, the wire cut brick next to the old, let's say, hand mold brick. I think that texture difference will be apparent, what's new and old. So sure. I think it's better it's sort of in conversation rather than one being too starkly different. So I think you have enough differences. So that brick color consistency reads fine to me. But again, I would have loved to have seen that brick.
Understood.
And I would just encourage you in future applications, depending on whether or not we decide to vote on this, to just bring the materials. Anyway, so but other than that, I really do want to commend the applicant for what I think is a much improved design.
Thank you.
Does the revised design include any changes to the door on 4th Street?
Yes. So the proportions of it, and I made the mistake of drawing on this. I'm not sure if I could erase what I drew. So it is extremely contemporary. So we have that trim outline differentiating the existing and the old, and then it's just a mullionless glass partition. There's a transom on the top, a light panel, and then the glass door.
A question of color. That image that you just had up just a moment ago, just before this one, that shows, it's the upper right corner there. Oh, you're going too
Sorry.
fast for me.
Yeah.
That upper right corner image, the line that's delineating the old from the new. Like it's showing up in your renderings as a white line and it's protruding, three-dimensionally protruding from the building. What is the color and material?
It is a off-tone white color to match the white brick on the building facade. So we cleaned the portion of the white brick on the historic facade, and the intention is for it to be as close to that as possible.
And again, on color, the vertical windows that are not part of the glass sections, the two to the right and the one to the left, that's similar. That's the same color metal as well.
Yes.
And you're attempting to match the color of the stone that's around the historic windows.
Correct. So like the brick, it is similar in color, but very different in materiality and finish.
And then what's the color of the cast stone at the coping stones above the facades?
So they're not cast stone. They're going to be made out of ACM panels. And again, all the colors of all the metal should be matching in color.
Yeah. It's again, you said your 2 cents. My 2 cents is I think it gets busy, and I'm kind of tagging on to what you said, Commissioner Sakong. In my mind, the whole thing should just recede a little bit more. If the metal in the glass portion was a gray color, and you continued that on the delineation between old and new and on the windows to the right and to the left, that whole thing would read as a modern infill.
Agreed.
And it would separate itself and be quieter. I think that would be more successful than trying to mimic the color of stone in a piece of metal. I think, I'm not sure if it will actually achieve what you're hoping to achieve. I think it'll look like an attempt to match. It's not going to match. So it's just a suggestion that you might want to, color-wise, pull the whole thing together.
I don't disagree, and I could see your point of view.
And for me, it quiets the infill portion down and lets the historic structure shine. Not that the infill is any less important, and it's, you know, a good piece of modern architecture, but maybe they have a better relationship if it's a little quieter.
And we'll work with Mr. Reedon's office to really fine tune that. That might become the final result.
Well, might become the final result doesn't help me all that much. Yeah,
Or it might be a condition.
yeah, right.
We're fine with it being a
And
condition.
if that would be
really am.
acceptable to you.
I do find it acceptable.
Okay.
I just want to go back to the question that was asked about the operable, that there were no operable windows within this large window wall portion.
Yeah.
Is that, so those bedrooms are to code without operable windows? Is that?
Yes, they could be to code with operable windows. The new standards will require fresh air. We could make that work mechanically, so they will be in full compliance with code.
Okay, thank you.
For those, you said the ACM panels. They're just metal panels, and are they kind of flat, or is there any sort of reveal to them?
So we have actually already asked for shop drawings to start working how they come out and what they are. We've designed them in a very specific way. These are panels that are intersecting each other. We're looking to make the joint lines match the mullions of the frame itself, but almost disappear, so that you see just single lines and the continuity of the mullions on those panels. So we're working on a design where they intersect each other, and all you see are those two lines. So there's no flutes to them. There's no separation except for the joint lines.
And is it all flat, or are those?
Oh no,
there
there's
is some.
Yeah,
Do you have a
and
section
we
of
were
it?
able to. I'm sorry.
I think he's going to show. There is
So,
a section of it.
Yeah, there's
right there.
sections all over with different
Nice.
detailing. This is that cornice and the shape and proportions of it.
Yeah, I just noticed something else on the Jersey Avenue facade, the roof line. What is the material made of that's actually on the facade just below the roof line that's depicted in a gray color here? I'm sorry, on the Jersey Avenue facade.
On Jersey Avenue,
Yeah.
this material,
Yeah.
that is, and it looks a little dark on the rendering, but that is, it's actually very interesting. That the historic cornice, I guess I would call it, or fascia to that roof line was made out of copper. There was a intervention that we found around the 1930s where they had a mixture of metals, including tin. That's why you see that the two pieces are actually at two different widths and dimensions. So, and this has been a point where we've had like hour-long conversations on how we're going to address this. We have decided to maintain the different widths as kind of a token to this change throughout history and the different elements, but match them so that they're the same. So that will be a copper edge that we hope to patina over time.
Okay, so the reason why I brought it up, and when I'm looking at that roof line and I'm looking at the roof line on Fourth Street, this one is being depicted as a gray fascia. The roof line on Fourth Street is a whitish fascia. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's kind of breaking.
And I think that's why Mr. Reedon hates renderings, because, you know, the look and the way it renders, but the intention is for it to be equal.
Okay.
See the difference.
Shall we go to public comment?
Sure. If there are any members of the public present who would like to speak regarding this application, please approach the comment mic. Staff sees no members of the public present and recommends a motion to open and close public comment.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we can go to staff comments. As has been stated, Dan is not present. However, he does have the staff report that was revised on December 12th, where he is recommending approval of the project with a large amount of conditions. After review of the conditions suggested for this, they are mostly related to providing more information via shop drawings and material samples and site mock-ups and things like that. If we would like, we can go through them item by item, but again, most of them are related to either tuning up the drawings at the point of construction documents, which is something we would normally see, or site mock-ups and material samples throughout the course of construction, which is something else that we would normally see. Does staff have, does the commission have any questions for staff?
Do any of them address the issues that were brought up tonight,
Almost all of them do, yes.
including colors of metals? And
Yes. So there's condition on page 2, the second page of conditions, that talks about the color samples for the pediment, cornice, window framings, doors. There's the casings. There are the fascia. Am I forgetting one that we discussed?
And the recommendation there is to unify them or to provide samples?
There to, the proposed color of all of those shall be based on site evidence and approved by HPO. So we can clarify that to say to have them match.
I would like to propose that that's a little bit too open-ended.
Sure.
I would like to specify it to have language around unifying it around a simplified palette.
Sure.
You know, pick a gray. I'm a little, and I think the exact color of that gray should be based on site evidence per the language in the report. But yeah, I think we need to corral it a little bit so that
Okay.
we're not picking 4 or 5 different colors based on site.
Yeah, I think in particular, the color of the delineation between the old and the new is an important element, and in my mind, it should be a lot darker than what it is. And if we can somehow create some language around that and what else is happening in the new construction on the 4th Street facade, that would be helpful.
I agree.
So I think if it's a direction to go with a darker color, both for unifying purposes and for that panel that is differentiating the old building and the new building, to go with a darker color and not have it be a lighter color.
I believe the architect said that would be workable.
I do, and just so that to add some color to this, literally, we debated a lot whether that should be like a bright red color too, just to kind of like differentiate. But I agree completely, wholeheartedly. Maybe a darker color, like a pewter kind of look. I think that would work very well.
Maybe there's some other element in the existing building that,
I think this has to be genuinely new,
Yeah,
with
understood,
contemporary
understood.
and not take from the existing there. I think the color has to be a kind of a new element to this. So I think it maybe a pewter. It's not shown on it's on the existing. I think it'll relate. It's in the same color palette, but it's distinguishable.
Yeah, I trust your new design is going to stand out and be separate from the historical building.
Yes.
There won't be any issue there.
Okay. The applicant shall simplify their color palette based on site evidence and HPC staff approval. In particular, the panel between the old and new construction shall be a darker color than is currently represented on the plans.
And are we saying along with the window metals on that facade as well? There's the big glass panel and then there are the,
The intention of the condition would be to cover all of that. I did specifically call out the differentiation between the old and the new. Do we want to specifically call out other things, or
Maybe we could say the trim elements on the new construction, particularly the line that delineates old from new. And then that covers all the trim elements.
I think what Commissioner Gutierrez is referring to, and what I was pointing out was the different window mullion colors.
Right.
exactly.
Not just the trims.
Okay.
So in my mind, I think that would improve it.
the panel and window?
Thanks for the
window
clarification.
Okay. Got it. Window mullion covers. Okay. Those two are specifically called out.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Does that work for you guys?
Yes, we accept, absolutely.
I think the other thing that maybe isn't really covered under the staff report, because I don't know if this is revised since this this has been revised, is the different types of glazing, the opaque versus that clear glazing, and this versus the spandrels, and I think that is something we'd also want staff to continue to work with them on. I'm still not 100% sure how that's all gonna play out and what that's actually going to look like, how that's going to be achieved. So I think we should add a specific condition about that as well. So maybe you can take a minute to talk about that or think about it.
I was noticing about the plans, there was conversation about where walls would have to be in front of the glazing, and that was sort of driving the opaqueness, but looking at the plans, I don't see the walls there, so I'm a little confused about what's accurate in respect to the windows and why the glazing is different.
So is the commission saying if possible, the glazing should be the same throughout as opposed to two different types of glazing?
Again, in my mind, yes, but I would be open to the conversation.
Yeah, I think ideally it would be, but I'd want to know more about how they're going to do it, what it's going to look like, before I'd be okay with it. And I think ideally it would all be one, except for the spandrels.
Yeah,
of
spandrels
course.
clearly have to be opaque.
Right, understood.
But I think making entire lights of glass translucent because the end of a partition misses the mullion by 4 inches seems to me not quite cooked.
Well,
And-
because partition walls can jog.
Exactly. And I would prefer that than to let that. I think it's the tail wagging the dog to have such a huge area of the facade influenced by that kind of planning detail.
Yeah, I was misinterpreting the, describing the walls as being the thing driving the opaqueness as being parallel to the window and not being perpendicular to it. So I think that if.
That's my interpretation anyway.
yeah.
I don't want to put.
So I was confused when I looked at the plans and was not seeing walls in front of the windows. I didn't understand that they were supposed to be translucent. I thought they were just hiding the fact that there would be a solid wall behind it. Okay, so I misunderstood. I misunderstood, so I apologize for that.
My greatest concern is the consistency throughout the volume on different floors, because when you get to the top floor, the two triangles at the end, there is nothing behind them. So that looked very awkward, making those as opaque elements and not having the ones below. So I kind of wanted that symmetry, and that's why we introduced the concept of having those being translucent but not visibly seen. And you're correct, it's not completely cooked. We're looking for glass samples. We had less than a month to prepare. We requested things. We have things flying in from Portugal. We have to select those glasses. But the concept, the overall concept is that the two pieces of glass are going to look very close, similar from the streetscape. even though they have two different levels of opacity to them. And the question is how much opacity, how much translucency on those more opaque panels. And we haven't defined that yet, but we feel like we could work with Mr. Reedon to get that correct level of opacity once we have all the samples come in.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I
and
think if we can,
Oh, sorry.
I think if we can, in the language of the conditions, simply note if this is the case, note the commission's preference for the glazing to be unified, but, but open to continuing work with HPC staff to get there.
Can I
knowing
read?
that?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
The applicant shall work with HPC staff to refine the glazing type and clarify the opacity and treatment. If possible, the applicant shall apply the same glazing type throughout the project with the exception of the spandrel glass. Once clarified, the applicant shall submit details and specifications for HPC staff to review and approve.
I'd be comfortable with that.
I mean, I just think that this window wall is a very strong statement, and it's kind of cool. And so I think it's important to try to do, work. I know it's still in development, but like work on the interior condition to like make that really shine, and don't have it muck it up.
We could definitely play with those perpendicular walls and line them up.
Okay. Were there any other comments for staff?
So there were 24 different conditions, and we've added 2, correct?
Correct.
2 new ones, okay.
Well, we've modified one and added one, right?
We're just gonna keep the other one
Okay,
and then
all right.
add.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve with the conditions that have been set forth.
I'll second it.
Before moving to a roll call vote, I just want to clarify that this approval includes recommendation for approval to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. Okay. And does your client accept the conditions in the staff report and is read into the record this evening?
Yes, we do.
Great. We'll move to a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gucciardo,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandcamp,
Aye.
Commissioner Gunther,
Aye.
Commissioner Sakong,
Aye.
Commissioner Blazak,
Aye.
Commissioner Gordon,
Aye.
Commissioner Kay,
Aye.
Vice Chair Garriga,
Aye.
and Chair Cronin.
Before I vote, let me say I've lived here for 11 years. That site's been a dump, and I'm glad you guys are fixing it up. Aye.
We are going to have to evict some raccoons, unfortunately.
There are 9 votes in favor, no against, no abstentions. The certificate of appropriateness and the recommendation to the Jersey City Zoning Board of Adjustment are approved.
Thank you all very much. We really appreciate your time over these meetings and taking the time to hear Manny out. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck
Alrighty.
with it. We're all looking forward to it.
Okay. Demolition time.
Yes, as usual, I got to go down there to
Alright.
set up, so just give me a moment.
Well, there's probably 20 rats.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Can we do 130 Central first?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, in anything, you can participate in the discussions and things, it's just the voting. The floor is yours.
Exactly.
No, no, you're good. It's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think we're going to call the demolitions a little bit out of order, but if
We
you
are.
wouldn't mind.
We are. Been asked to change the order just a little. So our first one is 130 Central Avenue. That is B-25-1702.
Okay, so we are going to do 130 Central first. 130 Central is on the northwest corner of Waverly Street and Central Avenue in the Heights. We do not have a 1938 tax card for this building because this building was constructed in 1959. It was constructed as the Union Hall for the American Federation of Musicians. That's where the building says Musicians Building on the front. That union was originally named the Musicians Protective Union and underwent a name change around the 1900s, but still colloquially known as the Musicians Union. This building functioned primarily as a union meeting space and a community space, which it still does serve those functions today, both as a community space and a commercial space. Was constructed in a vernacular modern style, more of a streamlined modern with some hints of international, with the ribbon windows on the sides and on the front, minimally ornamented, but very clearly mid-century in style. We are recommending denial of this building for two main reasons. One, the first is the architectural style. There are very few examples of mid-century design in Jersey City, and even fewer that are not public buildings or residential buildings. I honestly cannot think of another commercial mid-century building that still has integrity of its design, or so much integrity of its original design. The second is in the master plan element. One of the themes for expanded research is on underrepresented communities within Jersey City. And as far as we could tell, this local union was primarily composed of immigrants to Jersey City, Italian immigrants, Puerto Rican immigrants. So in that themes for research section, they recommend specifically finding buildings such as these that represent a tangible way to tie intangible heritage to these groups. So we are recommending that the commission recommend denial of 130 Central. We do believe that this building has integrity on its architectural elements. We do believe that this building has integrity of location, design, setting, at diminished materials and workmanships. There have been changes to the buildings, but not completely ruined entirely. It is still the original brick on both the front and that the lighter panels on the front entryway and on the ribbon windows on the side. We do believe this building has integrity of feeling, and due to its association with the group that built it, we do believe that it has integrity of association as well. Are there any questions for staff?
Could I make a motion?
You can make a motion.
Make a motion to deny.
I'll second that.
Should we do public comment?
Awesome.
I know they
yeah,
should. but-
Yes, we should do
I
public.
think we should do public comment, and I would also encourage the commission to discuss specific reasons that they're making this motion.
Yeah, I think Maggie put that really well. There are very few mid-century modern buildings in Jersey City, and one of probably the best example is the county courthouse, which everyone knows is going to be torn down for a park at some point. So we're losing that, which is probably our best example of modern 1950s, 1960s modernist, high modernist architecture. And this is a building that I've gone by a number of times and admired for its integrity and its simple, kind of restrained modernism that you just don't see very often in Jersey City. And like you said, it's still, has that musicians building on there, and I believe it's still used for some purposes. So that feeling of association is still there. So I think I agree that this would be a great loss if this building were demolished.
What is it used for now?
To my knowledge, it functions mostly as a community space and commercial space.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that the only thing that primarily affects how this building looks now compared to when it was built was the replacement of the windows and the entry infill, that's commonly replaced. And you can see that the building itself is very intact, in very good condition, and, I wasn't sure I was ready to go to bat for this until the, staff laid out the argument, and I do you don't really think about this type of architecture as being that significant, but yeah, there aren't many examples.
And this is for sure a more vernacular example of it, right? This is quite literally the definition of a vernacular style that is taken down to its vernacular level, used with locally available materials, with locally available craftsmen. You don't see a lot of ornament on this building because they probably didn't have money to put the ornament on this building. But you're correct. We don't. The compelling argument for me is truly the lack of examples throughout the city, and that this particular example is as intact as it is.
I'd also note that, just from my own professional experience, mid-century modern buildings can lend themselves very well to adaptive reuse and kind of reimagination without, compromising what is intact. And what is intact here is much more intact than many of the demolition applications we've denied in the past. So this is a perfect project one day for reinvention, and we should keep that potential in mind as well. So I think we should deny.
Do you want to reintroduce that motion?
Where someone can just make a motion to open and close public comment. They can both exist at the same
I'll
time.
make a motion to open and close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I think Corey did make the motion and I did second it.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I think we can just go to a roll call vote for that.
Perfect. Commissioner Gucciardo?
Yes, because of its intactness, because of its history, because of its the rareness of this type of building in Jersey City, I vote aye to deny.
Commissioner Sandkamp?
I vote aye for the same reasons as Commissioner Gucciardo.
Commissioner Gunther?
Aye, due to its intactness.
Commissioner Sakong?
Aye.
Commissioner Blazak?
Aye, for the reasons I stated earlier and has been stated by other commissioners.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yeah, I also was sort of nonplussed when I first saw the photo, but I think the comments by staff and my fellow commissioners it's very persuasive. There's certainly integrity of the property, and I took note of the comments about the rarity of this form of vernacular mid-century modern architecture, so I vote aye.
Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Edgecombe is absent. Vice Chair Griega?
I'm going to vote aye, affirming what some of my colleagues have said up here. It's intact. We've previously voted to say four walls before, and this is, we all remember that. It was four walls, just nothing, that was it. And this is significantly intact compared to those four walls. So I'll vote aye.
And Chairman Cronin?
Aye.
Okay. There are 9 votes in favor, no against, and no abstentions. The motion to prepare a resolution to recommend denial to the zoning officer is approved.
All right, moving right along. We are on 37 Emery Street. This is B-25-2235.
Okay, so now we are going to 37 Emery Street. We got the 1938 tax card photo. A little grainy, but still visible. And then this is the photo that the applicant submitted alongside it. Just a little bit of background for this property. It was built circa 1870 and is located within the Bergen Hill Historic District, which has a New Jersey HBO opinion of eligibility. And that district is mentioned within the Jersey City Historic Preservation Master Plan element, specifically noting that the properties within the district are a mix of late 19th and early 20th century brick row homes, brownstones, Queen Anne style apartment buildings, and private homes. And this would fall into one of those early, late 19th century brick private homes. It's colonial revival style. has some elements that have been altered. You can see faintly the porch has been removed, and the entrance to the first floor has been kind of made a primary entrance, and then the dormer windows have been altered from kind of the two into one solid 3-window dormer. Other than that, the window fenestration and materials have been largely maintained. So materials and workmanship, staff believes, have been somewhat diminished, but the location, the design, the setting, and the feeling have all been maintained. And it does have an association as a colonial revival style building.
Is there a chimney missing on the left there?
Yes, also there has been. I believe there. It's tough to see. There may have been 2 chimneys even, and those left ones have been removed. And just for some context of the street, this is the property next door. And then if you were to turn around, you start going into West Bergen, and
This house is in my, wow. Sorry. This house is in my neighborhood, so very interested to see that. I think it's a little confused, that house. I read it more like a Second Empire style house with the stone quoins at the corner. But I would like to point out that it also is historically to our city's history relevant, since it was built and then inhabited for many decades by William Drayton, who was a merchant who came to Jersey City in 1812 as a 4-year-old, and from England. His father was a butcher. They were first downtown, and he was actually one of the founders, along with Van Voorst, of the town of Van Voorst. In 1841, which then was annexed in 1851, and then in the 1870s, when Bergen Hill became more hip, he moved up and built on this property. He actually also was part of a Hall of Fame for Jersey City in the Free Library in 1901. He died in 1900, where in the hallway portraits of very important people of Jersey City were hung up. Not them, but their portraits, and he was one of them. So, sorry. Just that was mentioned, and in his obituary, he was also mentioned as one of the most important people of Jersey City. So I think we also can add that this is relevant because it was inhabited by someone who's important for our city's history.
Thank you for that incredible research. That's amazing.
I think we know who's making the motion.
I would agree. This building does have, some minor changes, like the removal of the porch and the stair, and the doors now at the basement or ground floor level. But and obviously the dormers have changed to shed dormers. But this building retains a lot of integrity, and I agree. It has integrity of location, setting, design, feeling, and association. It sounds like even with a person. So one of the more important people in 19th century Jersey City history. So I'll make the motion to. Oh, sorry.
We're just going to do a motion to open and close public comment first.
Nice. Come on.
Then I'll make the motion to open and close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we can.
And I'll make. Go ahead. Someone else do it.
I just wanted to confirm, are the window fenestrations unchanged? Yeah, they look the same to me, but
Yeah. They remain unchanged, except for the shed dormers on top. But
The locations of the windows.
Yeah.
Not the windows themselves.
Yeah. Commissioner Kalbach unfortunately cannot make the motion because she is an alternative and we have a full board.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Do we just want to clarify what motion we're
Oh,
making?
yeah,
here,
sorry.
please?
Staff recommends a motion to prepare a resolution recommending denial of the demolition application to the zoning officer. So,
Recommendation to deny to the zoning officer.
And I'll still second.
okay, thank you. Okay, for a roll call vote, we have Commissioner Gucciardo.
Yes, before I vote, when the photo came up on the screen, the first thought I had was, wow, that's a grand home. And its grandness is depicted in the coins at the edges of the brick, as was mentioned by my fellow commissioner, the fenestration. There's so much intact here, the site, the setting, and now we've also found out about some of its history. I vote aye to deny.
Commissioner Sandkemp.
I also vote aye.
Commissioner Gunther.
I'll vote aye.
Commissioner Sakong.
Aye.
Commissioner Blazak.
Aye to deny.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, based on location, design, setting, materials, workmanship, feeling association, I think we've got a full house here. I vote aye.
Commissioner Kay.
Aye.
Vice Chair Garriga.
Aye.
And Chair Cronin.
Aye to deny.
There are 9 in favor, no against, no abstentions. The motion to prepare a resolution recommending denial of the demolition application to the zoning officer is approved. Okay, let me just get back over there one sec, then we'll be done. Okay, so just as a point of clarity, we do not have any updates on the tabled cases. We also have no resolutions to review and approved, and we do not need an executive session. So all that is left this evening is adjournment. Does anybody want to make a motion?
Motion.
Second.
And it is 7:57. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.